Well, we are back. This is Business AM. My name is Indira Ganga. Time now for our sector trends. And today we're talking about green finance, green business, and going green in the banking sector for the good of the ecology, the environment, and the economy. Now, according to the United Nations Environmental Program, every year the banking sector produces around 6 billion cards worldwide. They indicate that if you compute the overall carbon footprint of these cards, then 136,500 metric tons of carbon dioxide are emitted each year, which is an equivalent of 500,000 passengers taking a flight from Sydney to New York. Consumers across the world in the sector are also increasingly expecting the banks to move to eco-friendly solutions, forcing the sector to position itself in a more demanding space worldwide that is charting way forward for the climate change. This morning, we talked to Absa on the Environmental Sustainability Community Drive, where we're joined by Elizabeth Wasuna, the Business Banking Director at Absa. Good morning, Elizabeth. How are you?
Very well, thank you, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for making time. Now, let's begin. Why did Absa choose to go the environmental sustainability route? Because it's not a usual thing to do in the banking sector. You'd think aviation would do it, manufacturing would do it, but banking, why?
So, sustainability is an integral part of our day-to-day course of business, and it's not just a peripheral activity. Our ambition as Absa Group is to become a leading purpose-oriented African is deeply rooted in the countries to serve what it recognizes as sustainability, and is directly linked to the sustainability of an environment or the community that it works for. So over the last 1 year, Absa Bank has embarked on a journey to embed sustainability as a strategic business principle with the objective of creating incremental shared values amongst its stakeholders, both in the way we do business and the way we provide our services and products, the whole spectrum. Absa Bank recently launched its Sustainability Report 2020, and the key pledge around this is to plant 10 million trees across Kenya by 2025. So it's just not that we're talking about, is something that we're actually actioning, because at the end of the day, we want to be able to be as sustainable as possible in the environment that we operate in.
Mm-hmm. Why is this important? Let's say from the business aspect of the bank, why is it important that not just Absa, but the banking sector goes green?
Well, it is important because at the end of the day, this is not just an environment that we want to, work in and live in a not so good state. Our aim as a bank is to leave the environment as best possible for the future generations. When we talk about green, we're talking about how sustainable can we be. And the bottom line is finances is the backbone of a lot of activities that we have in the country. So financial institutions take this as an initial step. It means that the vast majority of businesses will also follow through because they'll see this as a normal business. Mm-hmm. This is your BAU.
Yeah. Now, besides planting of trees and the strategic plan, what are some of the green things that Absa as a bank does within itself to just ensure that they're doing their part in protecting the climate?
So, in line with that, I know in October, Absa Bank Kenya PLC was recognized as the first bank in Kenya to join Kenya Green Building Society, KGBS. The bank has approximately 34 million shillings in retrofitting all its facilities to become water and energy efficient. This will reduce its carbon footprint while bringing down energy costs by up to 30%, approximately 20 million shillings annually. In addition, Absa has replaced all water dispensers with eco-friendly ones, helping to reduce plastic within the working environment and therefore reducing carbon footprint in relation to plastics used by 56%. During its first phase, the change contributed positively the business leading to about 26% savings on the cost incurred initially from the consumption of bottled water, for instance. It is estimated that this will increase to 37% cost savings once the project is fully implemented by the end of the year. So I think this is just some of the initiatives that shows that, it's not just something that we talk about, it's something that we're very focused on internally, but also externally.
Now, there has also been a lot of talk, or rather talk has been rife and action towards green financing. Talk to us about that. From a banker's perspective, maybe the viewer at home might not understand this. What does green financing mean?
So green financing, particularly in banks, has become an essential practice that entails providing financing while economic, social, and ecological impacts to the market which it operates in. Our financial institutions have the potential, as I said earlier, to lead change and to be champions that promote green economy by reducing pollution and improving lives while fostering economic growth. Finance has been referred to as the engine of development. Therefore, if we are to achieve sustainable development goals, we must place green projects at the forefront and scale up the financing of investments that provide environmental benefits through finance, the green finance. So it is an integral part of our business. We also, advise our clients that by and large to go green, because at the end of the day, it speaks to reducing of costs, but also it speaks to sustainability over a long period of time. So it is the way we want to conduct business, it's the way we have begun to conduct business internally, but also externally by ensuring that our clients and our stakeholders also buy into the story of green finance.
Now, does Absa have, say, a green finance package where these are just tailor-made for customers who want green finance? Because there was some time I was speaking to one of the deans of a local university in the country, and they said, for example, to borrow in the country is expensive, 14%, 16% interest rate, or even 10, give or take. But when you want to do a project like installing solar panels, then you need green financing, where somebody will be able to give you money at an interest rate of about 3-4%, because it's a long-term project before the money comes back. Does Absa have this in plan, or is it something that you're thinking about?
Look, and thank you, that's a really valid question. And it's because it's a journey that we've embarked on. It's a journey that starts with information to your clients so that we can first and foremost buy into the story, or to go green for that matter. It takes situations where we bring experts also to support businesses to understand what it means to go green, because it's a journey. It's not something you wake up and turn on the lights and voila, it's you're green. So when you speak about, for instance, going solar, because you have to buy the solar panels and all, we do look at businesses on a case-by-case basis to begin with, because you need to understand what is it that you're replacing. So if you're replacing, for instance, Kenya Power costs, because they fluctuate from time to time, you want to go green, it is something you want to go solar, we speak through that journey with you. We provide you with financing. So presently we do review on a case by case where, of course, your risk parameters lie, and we provide you that financing. However, as it's a journey also for the bank and the banking industries, we look for partners who can be able to come together with us and provide, better financing opportunities for the country, for our clients, to be able to benefit from the said reduced costs. So as it stands right now, it is a journey we've begun because we've started to invest in conversations with our clients. We provide them with expertise. We provide them with expertise across Africa, because there are other countries in Africa that have already gone green. So for instance, in South Africa, where we have Absa as well, we're able to borrow some of that information and share with our clients. Having said that, the finance, which is the most critical part, is one that we start the conversation around. The pricing is looked at based on a case-by-case basis. But like I said, we look for partners every single day where we can be able to cushion the cost and be able to provide a wider variety of facilities costs. So it's a journey we've begun, and I believe we're going to go far because we know what we want to do for the country.
At the beginning of your point, you mentioned something very pertinent. You said first we start with information and get people to believe this. In the banking sector, how are you guys tracking in terms of putting that information out there and the reception towards that information, both inside the banking sector and the people you're trying to give this information to?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And I know traditionally, it's always been very difficult for, clients from different stratas to come into the bank because, traditionally it's been an area where, there's been a bit of separation. But what I can say is, Absa Bank for sure is open for conversations across country around anything financial, any information that you'd require, whether it is financial, interpretation of markets. We are open to have conversations. Now, because of the COVID environment, we also find ourselves in a situation where, physical contact is not as open, as we used to have before. So what we've gone into is having webinars and conversations, virtual conversations, where we get like-minded people to come in and have conversations. We bring in the expertise to have conversations as well online. We then, after that, provide coaching, mentoring for those who require further information. We try to bring, for instance, the SMEs together to have an SME-driven conversation. For the corporate businesses also, we try to bring like-minded corporates together to have those conversations. So we've gone into the virtual space, and we believe that the virtual space is one that I think we can take a full advantage of, because it also gives you time to, go back and forth, almost like a normal conversation, only that you can't touch and feel. But the conversations around what we're doing as far as the virtual, as far as the green environment is something that we're open to have conversations. So if clients are willing to have this conversation, they call on us, call the relationship managers, we set up the conversation, and we converse, and we edify each other.
Yeah. Now, I know conversations around climate change and policies that organizations are taking are really big in parts like America and the Europes. But here, it's picking up, but at a slow rate. What incentives can be put there to ensure that particularly sectors like the banking sector start paying more attention to green financing, green growth, and green policies around the organizations?
So you raise a valid point. And again, our commitment to the Global Compact principles and the SDGs are some of the things that empower us or enable us to make sure that we as Absa are aware that, the climate change are fundamental pieces for our environment. And since we're looking at sustainability all around, it is not something that we can ignore. Okay, so we do have conversations with our clients around how can we empower them, to understand what is a sustainability journey. How are they partnering? How are they partnering government? Do they have the information? Do they understand what the impacts are? So in line with that, as a leadership. As leadership in the bank, we do have conversations again, with like-minded people. We bring in the experts also to have those conversations. In the past, we've had, seminars where we brought in people to have conversations directly with the UN around the Global Compact principles. We've been bold enough, like I mentioned to you earlier on, to launch our sustainability report, which is a report that is readily available so that people can understand what the journey is moving forward. So climate change is something that we can't run away from. We want to leave our environment better. So if it means that we need to plant trees, and that is our commitment as Absa, to plant 10 million trees by 2025, then it means that we need to have stakeholders, colleagues, customers, people coming together to join in and champion these activities moving forward. We've got to leave this world a better place than we found it.
Mm-hmm. But how can the government sort of incentivize rather banks to take up this route? Let me take that again. How can governments, you've mentioned how you're trying to incentivize clients by giving them information, giving them meetings with relevant stakeholders so they can be able to understand why they need to go green. So from your end as banks, what can government do to incentivize you as banks to be able to take up this route?
So I think we don't have to leave it entirely to government to incentivize. This is our country, this is our environment. We need to also take initiative to reach out to government and find out what are those initiatives that they have put in place to support this conversation. We reached out to government and they gave us an array of things that we could do. And we then said as Absa, what can we do to increase the national forest cover? And that is why we have put up our commitment in terms of being able to grow trees. Now, I know it may look like, it's an uphill task, but it is our contribution to the environment that we work in. We have 85 branches across the country, and therefore all our stakeholders, our customers, our colleagues, we call on them, and we've begun that journey of calling on them to partner with us to grow trees.
Yeah.
This is something that we've started and will continue to do as we have committed. So I don't think it's only government's duty to come to us. We, as individuals and companies and businesses, must reach out to government also and find out what are they doing and what can we partner to make it better.
As we almost come to a close, you've consistently mentioned the strategic report. What's some of the, let's say, 5 things that came out of that strategic plan that you guys made? Elizabeth? Okay, I am having challenges reconnecting back to Elizabeth, but we've had a really emancipating conversation on the role of different sectors, particularly banking, a sector that wouldn't come top of your mind when you think about environmental championship and conservation. But, I have Elizabeth back. 30 seconds, Elizabeth. What are some of the top things that came out from the strategic report that you guys have done?
So in the strategic report, what we were trying to say is that we are committed first and foremost to the process of sustainability. We also talked about the fact that we have a commitment to the environment that we work with. We have signed up to the UN Compact, Global Compact. We are committed to work.
Okay, technology at it again, but as I was saying before, we've had a really emancipating conversation. That's where we leave it. But this conversation does not stop here. It always continues online. So log on to our social media platforms at Metropole TV KE and talk to us. What are some of your thoughts with regards to this conversation? If you have any questions, they'll be directed to Elizabeth. That's the end of this part. But when we come back, so much more lined up for you after the break. Thank you.